Story 1. I used to run a food pantry, and one of the big donors found out I was about to get engaged. They gave me a ring that was worth about 25% of my salary. I was very hesitant to take it, but then they said, "Look me up." And the top two articles were about them donating over $10 million to different charities. I said to myself, treat yourself. And my wife wears that giant, disproportionate rock to this day. I am surprised she can even lift her hand with that thing on. Story 2. One time, when I was overwhelmed with work, my best friend showed up at my office with last-minute tickets to see my favorite band. I tried to say no, but her determination got me out the door. That bold move turned a challenging day into one of the best nights ever. Story 3. A 19-year-old young man in Germany, who did not know us, donated his bone marrow to save my son's life. Story 4. Someone once stole my lunch from the office fridge, ate half of it, then put it back as if they were saving some for me. Honestly, the sheer audacity impressed me more than the crime itself. Story 5. I was getting McDonald's at the airport, and this woman yanked my order from me and started eating it, like immediately, as in scarfing it down while she walked to her gate. What's funny is the crew called security and at the same time started remaking my order. Absolute heroes they were. No-fly list for that woman. Story 6. A drunk man was trying to start a fight with me outside a liquor store. I was trying to de-escalate the situation, but it wasn't working, and I was getting ready to fight. I have never fought in my life. My wife came out and told him to leave. I thought, oh no, don't make it worse. But she knew what she was doing. She firmly confronted him until he was too humiliated to stick around and just left. It was glorious. Story 7. The first time I met my stepmother's father was at Sunday brunch at his club. We barely spoke. I sent him a thank you card. He ended up completely covering my tuition and living expenses for a 2-year degree at the Culinary Institute of America. Story 8. Back in 2017, I first met this guy. He came up to me at a bar and asked, "How's it going, buddy?" He started making goofy, drunk conversation. He was obviously messing with me, but I went along with it. Then, a minute or so into this conversation, he started casually eating the French fries off my plate. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall and weigh over 300 pounds. He is about 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighs 130 pounds. I wasn't even mad. I was intrigued. I had to respect the fact that roughly 15% of his entire body weight was his massive confidence. We are still friends to this day. Story 9. I just took my dog on a 3-hour, 6+ mile hike. We walked in the door and he brought me his go-fetch ball. Story 10. One time, my friends and I were heading back to a house party after the pub closed. I, a friend, and 2 girls I know were getting into a taxi when another guy joined us. I assumed he was a friend of the girls or someone that the people from the party knew, who was just jumping into our taxi because there was a spare space. We were all heading back in about 3 taxis, so I didn't think anything of it. Anyway, we were all back at the party, and one of the girls asked whose friend he was because he was being creepy to her. Some quick asking around made us realize that literally no one at the party knew who he was. Not even in a casual way. Oh, I met him tonight and invited him back. No one had even seen him before and just assumed he was someone else's friend like I had. The guy had just slipped into a taxi and gone to a house party with complete strangers. There were about 12 of us at the party, so getting him to leave was pretty easy, but then my friend discovered that someone had stolen his bottle of whiskey. We then had to spend the next 20 minutes checking that nothing else had been stolen. That was an audacious and creepy move. Story 11. One of the craziest things someone has ever done for me happened back in college. I completely messed up my preparation for an important exam, and my friend, who was much better at studying, decided to help me in the most unexpected way. He literally pretended to be me and took the test on my behalf. The funniest part? The professor did not even notice the swap, and my friend actually scored better than I probably would have. I was completely shocked, but also incredibly grateful. After that, we agreed never to take such a risk again because if we had been caught, it would have been a total disaster. So yes, this was probably the boldest and most insane thing someone has done for me, And to this day, I look back at it with a mix of laughter and sheer panic. Story 12. I was driving with my dad when we crossed paths with a friend of his from 30 years ago. During their conversation, I happened to mention that I was building a school in Sierra Leone. A week later, he sent me $40,000, the entire cost of the school. I had never met the man before, and he had not seen my dad in 30 years. Story 13. One time I had to finish up my group's assignment without sleep for more than 24 hours, compiling, editing, etc., because my group mate who did their part at the last minute sent me their poorly done work, with the excuse that they were working part-time. I understand that they need money, but any person with a brain would know that they have to manage their time better, especially if they are an adult with two separate responsibilities. That morning when I saw one of them, she said to my face, "I only had 4 hours of sleep today. No one better ruin my day today." The audacity. I replied, "Well, I didn't get any sleep at all." And she just said, "Oh," and moved on with her life. Story 14. A man once cut in front of me in line at a grocery store. I called him out on it, saying that he cut the line. He turned to me, looked me in the eye, and said, "I know." I was too stunned to say anything back. Story 15. I have a friend who received a decent amount of money from their grandmother, and they bought me an in-game item that was almost $100 with the message, "Because I can." It was around Christmas time. I was shocked and incredibly grateful. Story 16. I do not know if this is the most audacious thing that anyone has done for me, but I think it was pretty good. My family had just flown into Sydney, and we had our luggage but still had to go through security. We were already in a privileged position as New Zealanders, as there were two separate lines, one for Australians and New Zealanders and the other for everyone else. One of the staff approached us and asked if we were from New Zealand. After we said we were, he said to follow him. We arrived at a door. He opened it and said, "Welcome to Australia." On the other side was the area where taxis drop people off. No explanation was given, we just bypassed everything. Story 17. So without giving away my identity, I am widely known by the gamer tag of Diabetic Diarrhea Disaster on a very popular gaming platform. One day, this person recognized me in real life and referred to me as Debbie Rhea right in front of my wife. Story 18. A former friend who was looking at houses with me gave a real estate agent my name and phone number and told them I was interested in a house. I had never seen this house. I did not know she was planning this, nor did I expect to get several repeat calls from a real estate agent while I was on my way to my uncle's funeral. Story 19. For our family, a person sadly passed away, and his kidney saved the lives of two people, one being my beautiful mother. I am an organ donor. I always was and always will be. The gift was so profound, and we were all so grateful and so sad that someone had to pass, that a family lost their loved one. It was so grateful, yet so bittersweet. Story 20. I am much better now, but for the last 8 months I have been gravely ill. My wife has been my zealous advocate and caregiver all while working full-time. I am overwhelmed by her love. Story 21. My partner confronts someone who is treating me poorly, standing up for me in a way that could put them in an uncomfortable or risky situation. Story 22. Audacious. Showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks or showing an impudent lack of respect. You are welcome. Story 23. I tell my friend when I am leaving and what time I will arrive to pick her up. And every time I say I am outside, she says, "Okay, I will be 1 minute." But she is 15 to 20 minutes every single time. By 5 minutes, I am thinking, what is going on? By 7 minutes, I am upset. And by 13 minutes, I am numb from disbelief. Story 24. I gave a girl I liked a ride home, and when she got out of the car, she lifted her dress and showed me she wasn't wearing underwear. It was one of the hottest things ever, and I didn't expect it. Sadly, we didn't end up together due to some circumstances, but that was an incredible day. Story 25. I had a difficult staff member. She was hired before I took over management of the office. She disliked me, resented that I was younger than her, held a higher position, was white, and was a man. Pretty much everything. On more than one occasion, she yelled at me in front of others, which prompted me to involve human resources. She eventually resigned on her own accord. Later, she came back trying to get a job. By then, my hiring needs had changed anyway, but I would have preferred to eat a light bulb than have her on my team again. I told human resources that if she wanted to work in the Memphis or Nashville offices, by all means, but I had no interest in managing her again, even if she was acceptable in her role. Story 26. I would never forget in high school a girl asked to borrow my prepaid cell phone to make a call, and secretly sent herself all the money I had on my SIM card. This really sparked my mistrust in people. We are adults now, and I will never forget. I don't think she has forgotten either, because she passes me straight if she ever sees me. Story 27. One friend of mine ignored me for a whole month and continued to do so the next month. She got mad and started telling another friend that I distanced myself from her when all I was doing was choosing myself over her self-centered behavior. Story 28. My college roommate drank half of my beer in the fridge and made the effort to leave the empty bottles in the fridge once he was done. Because I felt petty, I decided to take the empty bottles and throw them at his scooter. To be fair, both of us behaved poorly, and we grew to dislike each other over time. He was messy and I was tidy. You can see the issues from there. Thankfully, it was only one semester. Story 29. On my birthday, a guy pulled out his family jewels while he was sitting next to me. He was at a club on my birthday. Thank goodness my big tall brother was there and took care of that madness. Story 30. My childhood sweetheart is creating a personalized gift, like a song, a piece of art, or a scrapbook filled with memories, which requires effort and thoughtfulness. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.